So for a long time I've been talking about buying a raft, and today I bought a trailer. I found this trailer. It's a boat trailer that somebody converted into like a flatbed hauling trailer. It's got some pockets so you can put some walls in it. It's a little beefier than what I need, but I like the idea of having a dual purpose trailer so I can do the rafting, go, cut firewood or whatever. So, but it does need a few things. I need to put on a hand winch on the front, and on the tail I need to put a roller so that the raft can slide on and off easily. So I've got these little tabs I bought. They're prefab. They're gonna go on here like an angle like this. I've got these bushings, this big long stainless steel shaft, and then there's gonna be a piece of 2-inch pipe that's gonna go across this that'll make a perfect roller. So this video is gonna be a bit different. We're gonna fabricate all this together. It's gonna be a cool little project video. After we're done installing all this stuff, I'm gonna strip off all of this coating that's on here. It's kind of a half chipping away bed liner roll-on coating that they put on here. So I'm gonna clean this all off down to metal, and we're gonna repaint it so it's gonna look brand new. And then at the very end, we're gonna do some new lighting. He went to install some new lighting here, but he didn't quite finish. Some of the marker lights on the sides are missing, and there's basically no wiring underneath. So I need to get all that done and to get it street legal. So the first order of business, I think I'm gonna install this hand winch. What I need to do is I've got this plate here. I'm gonna cut it to length, drill some holes, and then I went to our local scrapyard and I found this 3-inch piece of tubing. I'm not gonna use that base plate, but I'm gonna cut this to length, weld this onto the tongue, and that should be a pretty stout mount. Like I said, we're not really moving a whole lot of weight. The boat itself maybe weighs 250 pounds plus gear. This particular hand winch is rated to 1,500 pounds. I figured might as well get a little more capacity than what I need. You never know. And you may notice there's some booger welds here. I don't know what all that's about. Why the previous owner didn't just like bolt or tighten these bolts down all the way, because it was kind of loose. I think they were trying to cheap their way out and just weld it on there, but they didn't do a very good job. They didn't look like they didn't prep the surface or anything so that it would put it out on a nice bead, which is weird because the rest of the boat is really well fabricated. I'm thinking 24 inches is going to be a really nice height. It'd be a comfortable cranking height too. So let's go for 24 inches. Should be plenty of room for the bowl holes around the 3-inch tubing below. Looks like there is. And then this will go right there. So I'm gonna round off these corners, make it a little safer. And then I'm gonna clean up the mill scale off, and I'm gonna cut a little a little bevel on the tube here so I can get a little bit better penetration on the tubing, and make sure this doesn't break off. All right, I'm gonna put a few tack welds on this thing, and then we're gonna lay down some beads, lock it down. So I admit, it's been a long time since I've welded. In fact, I've been practicing a whole bunch before I started hitting the stuff that I've been working on, but I think this turned out pretty good. I'll be the first to admit these aren't the prettiest welds, but they're gonna work. Okay, so right here's the hole for the old jack with the holes around for the bolts. And while I think it's probably strong enough to weld around all this stuff, I'm thinking I'm going to weld a little 4-inch plate on top of this to give something just a little extra thickness, and I don't have to worry about these holes getting in the way. So there'll be a nice strong platform to weld this to. Looking back over this, I think I'm going to lay a second bead down on top just to make sure I've got enough penetration. Boom. All done with this part. Sweet. Skadoosh. All right, we got these corners rounded off. Now we can install this thing. A little bit of slag went down in that hole, so I can't get the bolt through, so let's just clean it out a little. That click is very satisfying. So yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of. I wanted this to be as close to the nose as possible so that I could get the trailer, so that I could get the raft as far up on the trailer as possible. But I didn't account for the tailgate, so I need to figure out how far away the tailgate swings, and then I'm gonna have to cut this off and move it down. Kind of a bummer. Okay, so what I think I'm gonna do is actually notch it, because I still want this to be as close to the tongue as possible, so that I can get as much of the boat on the trailer as possible without overhanging too far. So I'm going to basically overlap it between these two areas, and I'll just sort of hand dial it in with a grinder. I don't think it'll be too hard. I'll basically notch half of it up about whatever thickness this is, 3/16, maybe this is a 1/4 inch thick, and I think it'll be fine. All right, so they've got these little wire tie down points. I don't need this one here because the boat is actually gonna sit on it. So we gotta cut this one off too. So I'll do that before I cut this back off. Ta-da! that's actually kind of crazy. I've got that undercut like 1/8 of an inch, and that weld is still holding on. Okay, I just switched to a cutting wheel so I can sort of get down in there and cut it closer to the base metal. All right. Ta-da! All right, so I'm going to smooth this back out, prep this surface, and sort of then figure out how to bevel the bottom so it fits flush on there. All right, I like that a lot. So I'm going to bevel the edge so I get a nice deep penetrating weld like before. I'm going to prep the surface, get all this coating off, and I get through the mill scale so I get a nice penetrating weld. It looks good, it's all plumb and straight. Let's tack it in. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It's nice and solid, got some good penetration all the way around, but I'm gonna make one actual addition that my buddy Mark suggested, and I think it's a good idea. I'm gonna add a little bit of a cross brace here. Pretty confident this is strong enough, but I wanna just eliminate all doubt. So I'm gonna put a little triangle gusset here out of this 2x2 square tubing. Just gonna cut it at 45s, weld it in there, and just, you know, have a little more trust in it. If I ever had to get in some weird situation where there's a lot of weight on it, you know, I could trust it. All right, well, I'm gonna bevel the edge just a little bit, prep the post, get this red paint off, and then we'll tack it on and weld it on. Okay, now the final fabrication step. I have these little shock tabs that I found, and I'm gonna weld them on at an angle. This one's gonna go 45 degrees. And then I got these bushings. There's a 1/2 inch shaft that goes the whole length, basically an axle for the roller. These bushings will slip into this 2-inch piece of galvanized pipe. And I gotta figure out a way to drill a hole so I can put a little locking pin in there to keep it from sliding out. And we should be good. So I just need to clean off the surface where I weld these on, tack them on, make sure they're nice and straight. This is kind of important that these be perfect because otherwise it won't spin well. And then after that, then we get to strip all this black coating off and paint this sucker. Okay, let's tack it in. perfect. $69.25. Exactly. Okay. And I'll clean up the ends of this pipe here so that the bushings go on nice and smooth. Got it. Okay, so now I need to choose a pin, drill a hole, and we're gonna, what do you call these? Hitch clip it in. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Broke the drill bit. Shoot. See the hole on the other side. I don't know if this will finish it off or not. Nope. Shoot. Well, I think I've got one that's a little bit bigger. The small one's gonna be nice and tight. All right, and with that, the fabrication is mostly done. There's a few things I need to change with the mounting points. There's some tabs hanging off the back I want to cut off. But we've got a roller. Oh, it's so perfect. It doesn't even jiggle. It's nice and tight clearances. Oh, this is going to be sweet. Probably going to call it a day right here. Next time, I'm going to start hitting this with a wire wheel, get all this texture off, and then it's time to paint it. And after that, then we'll do the electrical, put in all the lighting, install the winch, install the new jack. Excited. Well, here we are today. We're starting the paint day, and I've saved you all the boring, arduous work of sanding this whole trailer down. Every square inch, I hit it with the wire wheel. There was like this textured, almost like a bed liner material over the whole thing, and they didn't do a good job. It was rusting up from the bottom, so I had to wire wheel the entire thing off. And the surface of this is diamond plate. And so there's every little nook and cranny, that little texture was stuck in there. So it was very, very tedious. So I spared you guys all of that. It's all cleaned off. I've got the whole shop sort of prepared. It's all got tarps over everything, so there's no overspray. But now we're gonna put down a layer of primer. Well, I think that looks pretty sweet with just primer on it. Let this dry for a day, and then we'll come back with paint, put some top coat on here, let it dry a couple more days, and then we'll get the raft on here. All right, we're back here for day 2. We're gonna put on a couple coats of top coat, We're going with glossy white, so this should be not much to see, but we'll skip through this part pretty quick because I don't want to touch the camera too much with paint all over me. I don't know, is it possible to do any painting without making a mess? I'm not sure. Heck yeah, well, I'm done painting. We'll let this dry. Tomorrow we'll hit the wiring, and then the following day the raft comes. Timing has been perfect. Well, I'm sure it's not terribly obvious just on video, but the finish on this is exceeding my expectations. It's really thick, it's really smooth, and it's really hard. It looks like a really durable coat of Rust-Oleum paint. So I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. Painting is a ton of work, but man, it sure is satisfying when it's done and done well. Well, what I'm just now noticing is these bolts are too long. The shoulder on this is designed for a thicker piece of material, so I'm probably going to have to go to the hardware store, get some shorter bolts. Yeah. All right, back I've got some shorter bolts. Luckily I've got a really cool local hardware store that's literally a couple miles down the road from me. These are pretty simple. There's just this like rubber gasket thing that goes in here, and the light just sort of squeezes in there. So these are going to be a little more challenging. This big square hole fit the old lighting that they were using. These lights are different. They don't need quite as much space. So I'm just going to kind of find a new point about right there to sort of hide as much of that as possible. I didn't want to take the effort to fill that all in. So I'm just going to take this permanent marker and mark the holes, drill pilots, and then screw this all in. The cool thing about this also is the ground is integrated into this screw. So when I screw it in, it'll ground itself automatically, which is pretty slick. Somehow. There it goes. All right, and then all you gotta do is wire that in there. Something oddly satisfying about heat shrink. Ooh, let's see, I got the left blinker on. Let's see what it's doing. I see a light blinking. Sweet. Let's try the right side. That one's not doing anything. It's not good. All right, well, let's check the running lights. Okay, those are working. The marker lights are not on. Crimping that splicer with the pliers. I just pinched them all by hand. Let's see if pinching them with the tools, because I'm not getting any voltage. No, I heard a nice snap there. Let's see if I have voltage. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Let's go around and pinch all those with the pliers. I bet they'll all pop on. Yep. All right, I just had to reconnect that wire. We got blinkers, we got tail lights, we got brake lights. Let's go set up this dang raft. Here's all the pieces, so let's put this together. Smartly, it says everywhere, do not use a blade to open this. This is an inflatable raft. Owner's manual. I thought that was a sippy cup. So it kind of occurred to me that I haven't really told you guys what I bought. This is a 2024 model, the second version of the NRS Slipstream. I got the 142 because I wanted plenty of room for overnighters. We're gonna guide out of this thing, so I want plenty of room. And if I ever get in a tight spot, well, maybe I'll wish I had a smaller raft, but I went for the big one for the room. This looks like the bottom. Okay, so this is a patch kit. Looks like a tool for valves. Yeah, here's some adhesive. Yeah, this is an important tool. Doesn't help that it's almost 95 degrees out here. I'm a little sweaty. Ouch. Yep, fishing seat number 1. Box of stuff. And seat number 2. This one says, look again, there's things hidden inside. Apparently that's a common problem. All right, we got braces for one of the knee braces. The other set. And this is the rower seat, low back. I got a couple mounts for either a dry box or and an ice chest, 'cause definitely want to keep some beers cold in there. And the pump. And that last box, I'm sure, is the frame, so we'll get into that after we air it up. I left a ½ pound of margin in there. You know, when it gets hot, it's gonna raise the pressure. You go up and down in elevation, that's gonna change the pressure. And now the floor. less volume, but way more pressure. We're going up to 8 pounds max. So I'll do another half a pound margin there as well. I guess I'll get out. And this is where the 2-stage pump comes in. I think when the pressure starts getting high, you switch to the second chamber that's smaller, so less volume, but obviously more pressure. So you can get it up to that 7.5 or 8 pounds it calls for. All right, that's 7 pounds. That's really firm. That's awesome. It's not squishy. I mean, it's a little bouncy, but it's pretty rock solid. It's easy to stand on, that's for sure. So I have a quandary. I'm supposed to leave in 30 minutes to pick up the wife, head down. We're gonna go float with Jeremy and his wife, Sarah. I don't think I have enough time to put the rest of the frame together, so we're gonna pack this up on the trailer, and then we're gonna carry this on down in, well, where we're going, Cottonwood. Probably could have backed up a little closer, but I just wanted to see how far the rope went. Clearance between the fender and the boat was my biggest concern. There was supposed to be about 1 inch, maybe 1/2 inch, but I can get my whole hand in there. And that's the same on both sides, so that's perfect amount of clearance. And I was also worried about how far off the tail it would hang. I thought it would look kind of goofy hanging off a little over 2 feet, but it really has this upward cant to it. So it's not even, I thought it'd be resting on the roller, but it's not even touching the roller. And I think it looks totally fine. I'm not worried at all about it hitting the ground, like if I went over a dip or something where the tail would get low. It's not gonna be a problem whatsoever. This is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna load up all the parts, get all my fishing stuff together, pack some clothes, and hit the road. So as you can see, the boat is fully assembled. I didn't get to show you guys the build of the frame. To be honest, it was kind of boring. It takes a lot of trial and error. You gotta kind of get it all dialed in and get it sort of perfect for how you like the way it feels, and the room for the front and back seat, the rower seat, the distance from the oars, the angle of the oar locks, all that stuff. It takes some tweaking. In fact, I just did one last little tweak. The anchor catch was too low. Like at the angle I was pulling on it, it was kind of binding inside the locking mechanism, so I angled it up so it's more of a straight pull. But I've gotten to float, I don't know, 8 or 9 times since I made the video, and I've had a really fun time learning to row, learning to fish, some techniques in the big rivers, and some of the small ones. We've done some steelheading. We've caught some decent fish, nothing crazy yet because we're still learning, but some of my priorities in the beginning have been learning to row safely, so I can get from point A to point B through some challenging water. I haven't done anything more than like a class 1 rapid, but I'm ready to move up to 2s and 3s, I think. Now that I feel pretty comfortable with what the oars do and how to make it go where I want it to go. But one of the things that's interesting with a raft compared to, say, a hard drift boat is it feels kind of sticky to the water, where like a drift boat will rock and pitch and roll depending on what you're going over, or even if you're not standing centered in the boat, you know, a drift boat will lean one way or the other, so you often gotta make sure you're standing right in the center of a drift boat, where this is so stable, you can stand anywhere, it doesn't really move the boat very much, and when you're going over rapids, it just kind of glides right through. That's the only way I can really describe it. It's like it feels stuck to the river. It doesn't feel like it wants to move very much, which is really comfortable for the passengers. Everyone I've taken so far says that it's really comfortable to fish out of the boat. I'm going to do a full review, and obviously there's going to be some videos coming of fishing trips out of the boat for sure. But I just want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little bit different from me. Doing a build video, getting the trailer built, getting the boat has been a big process. I've been doing this for since about February. I've been saving money, picking up parts, working on all this stuff, and it's definitely slowed down my video progress. And so now that this is here, I can focus on making content again, and hopefully I can guide some of you guys out of this as the fall season approaches. I'm looking forward to all of that. As always, I thank all of you for watching and being subscribers and supporters of the channel. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing and definitely like this video. Until next time, everybody, I'll see you on the water. Godspeed.